Hey everybody, welcome back. Crazy fast PvP. That was like a half hour, including like the intro to the show and everything else. I mean, really short, really action-packed games. Narrowly in the end, Zoun did manage to snowball that fight with the Stalkers. He just had enough where there wasn't an ability for Hero to accumulate anything where he could stabilize. Now we're going to go to the one Terran player in this group. He'll be going up against Classic in this sea of other Protoss players. Classic, I think, is extremely good at the matchup PvT right now. He seems to have a really, really strong understanding of it. I don't expect Classic to do anything crazy aggro or risky. I think he's going to kind of slow cook it, so to speak. Just continue to attack, continue to grow. Now, Bunny, on the other hand, I think he does have to come up with something pretty decisive. I think he needs to come in here and try to figure out some way to basically, kind of like in a neck-breaking move, kill the Protoss.
I feel like that's...
Remember when there were neck-breaking moves in movies? Remember Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme? There was like a whole decade where people had just their necks broken. Many people got their necks broken, and then it just went away.
There's no more necks to break? But Bunny's got a couple right here.
We got to bring it back. We need to bring it back, but I need some Steven Seagal head-twisting, take this Protoss player out before Storm is done.
I'm pretty sure Bunny's
before the Disruptor comes out.
Yeah, I think he's going to be trying that. That seems like the most reasonable MO here, especially for a player who historically has been so aggressive in this matchup. And so I think from Classic's perspective, what we can really expect is him just really bracing for impact. He's always been, or especially more lately in Legacy of the Void, he's been a very stable Protoss player. You know, when he was first coming onto the scene in StarCraft 2, he was a lot more aggressive. I remember when he proxy gated me in Pro League. That was really sad. That made me upset for a while. But since then, he's been, especially in PvT, just a rock-solid defensive macro player. And so I think coming up against Bunny, you kind of expect... Like, the elephant in the room is that Bunny's probably going to try and do some kind of crazy tactics. He'll either go for an SCV pull or some timing attack, or he will do the typical Bunny move of boosting all of his medevacs into your main base and trying to kill you that way. And so for Classic, let's just watch to see him on point in terms of defense. As Bunny prepares to go through the impossible gauntlet, Hero, Zoun, and Classic stand in the way of him in the round of 4. Can he do it? Let's find out with his first series between Bunny and Classic.
Okay, Bunny in the bottom right, Classic in the top left. Yeah, I mean, let's see what Bunny's got here. Classic did have in his little player statement that I will, what was he say, smoothly make it to the round of 4. I do feel like he should be able to just advance here. He's so strong. But yeah, I'm really interested in what Bunny's going to bring here. Bunny, by the way, last season looked incredibly strong. Like, you know, some of these guys, you can tell they've just still been playing, they've still been practicing, they're still growing StarCraft networks in their brain, you know, coming up with new solutions. We've got double gas here. So he's going to be one base in it, at least for the time being.
A fast tech up here from Bunny. I wonder where he's going to go with this. Kira showcased some very strong all-ins, the GSL finals before.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we have some kind of 2-base SCV pull timing.
Especially because Classic seems, at least in the games that I've seen from him PvT recently, he doesn't usually opt for the hero-esque move in PvT of immediately going into charge once that Twilight Council is done. Oh, welcome. Protoss, he's deserving making it work. That's adorable. But yeah, for Classic, I'm expecting him, if he does go for the typical kind of standard Protoss development with a Twilight Council, it will be Blink first. And should Bunny go for some kind of big SCV post siege tank timing attack, like in the vein of what Cure was doing in a lot of his games in the PvT finals previously, it'll be a bit of a race to get there before charge is done.
Yeah, one way to think about how Protoss develops in this matchup now is like each of their techs is makes the game profoundly harder for the Terran to deal with. So, once you've layered on, like, let's say Disruptor shots and Storm and Colossus, it's just hard for like Marine bio balls to get in there. Everything just dies in groups, and part of this is the way StarCraft 2 is programmed. Things move in unison very smoothly, but they almost kind of like little particles attaching to each other. Things kind of group up, especially in large control groups, which makes splash damage incredibly devastating. So if we've got a timing, it'll be before one of those sequential splash damage techs finishing. So maybe before the first one finishes or before the second.
It's going to be the Cyclone coming out here first for Bunny. Medevac follow-up. Probably just going to be the Cyclone Marine drop to start things out. And of course, as you would expect here with Classic, just really on point with its loose-stage Phoenix scouting. I wouldn't even be surprised if he sent another one out. Try to time it for when that starport is completing its first unit to see what the trajectory is going to be on that Medevac. But in any case, development here for Bunny actually looking pretty normal. He's going to lift that factory off, so we might not have a siege tank push here in game number 1. Seems like instead he'll be opting to get that barracks potentially on that add-on very quickly as this Cyclone and I believe 4 Marines.
Yeah, not going to be any kind of Widow Mine drop this time around here, and it's intercepted immediately. And what's funny is because he unloaded it, he gets to see that it's a Cyclone and Marines in there, so he knows what kind of drop it is. That's actually pretty beneficial here for Classic. I would not be surprised if this Medevac just goes back home or just hides somewhere on the map and then tries to dip in later on, because I think there's no reason to go out now. And we're seeing exactly that. He's going to send the Medevac back and maybe pick up and try to drop again later. We've got tanks and more barracks finishing up here. Stim is starting. And so Terran is getting all the different building blocks necessary to eventually do a push. If that's in fact the kind of game, I don't want to cast this in too much of a deterministic way. Like,
right.
It is possible Bunny plays a slow game and just keeps expanding, and maybe he shows us how to win in late game. But
no, I like this mix-up from Bunny. A lot of times when you see Terran players go for the siege tanks very quickly, they will just immediately, you have the tech lab already on the factory. You pump out the siege tanks out of that, but he actually used the factory to make one more add-on. And he's going for a third barracks too, so this isn't even the 2-on-1. He's going to have a little bit more bio, and the tanks are going to be a little bit slower onto the field. But that might play in his advantage moving across map here.
We've got Stalkers and Sentries coming out here. And it looks like he's going to take out that last Reaper. And then we have the Templar Archives here. Now, we don't see... There's no third command center, right? Yeah, there's no third CC yet. So right now, and until we see a third CC, we can basically assume this is going to be some kind of a push. He's powered up. The Stalkers are not going to get anything done. In fact, yeah, that was way too ambitious. Just eating hull damage on the Stalkers like that is going to make this push that much stronger. Every little iota of HP is so important to have. Now, I don't see an SCV pull with this yet, so this looks like it's just a straight-up 2-base timing, unless SCVs are pulled later on.
Oh, but
and
Classic.
I love this. Could he get the Tech Lab Stim Pack's like 10 seconds out?
Yeah,
oh
he's not going for it. He's not prioritizing it.
Go for that.
I mean, you can't know. It could be concussive shells. It could be combat shields. But yeah, absolutely. That would have been a juicy target there for Classic. Instead, he's trying to get as much damage done as possible and then recall these Stalkers back home. But Buddy is already knocking on the front door. The recall is coming in. Charge only halfway done. That is not going to be a factor in this fight. I think we don't even have Storm, do we? There's no Storms just yet. Buddy just charging in right now. Tons of Stim Marines, more than you would expect in a push like this one because of the way that he developed back at home. And the infrastructure, the gateways, the robo, they are falling apart here on the front line for Classic.
Yeah, and losing that robo is just devastating. It's going to be a lot harder to try to take this on with gateway units, especially when these bunkers finish up here. And killing this base, by the way, the third base was canceled. And this is all you've got to do as Terran. You take out this Nexus and just basically keep an outpost over here. By the way, Charge seconds away from finishing, but I don't know if that's going to cut it. I don't think, with the, 3 Zealots he's got, he's going to run down here and do anything with that Charge. He's going to dive in. He's going for the tank. He takes out one. There's a second tank coming in. He picks that up with the medevac. I think this is GG.
Yeah, it's looking like it. I mean, you can see him floating 600 minerals because he just lost so much infrastructure there on the front line. Maybe if he was able to keep the gateways and the Robo alive a little bit longer, would have been better for him. But with a bunker done, with a siege tank still standing strong, Bunny's going to take game number 1 with a very powerful timing attack. And I'm telling you, I feel like we might have to see Classic make an adjustment and go for charge faster if he wants to take down these pushes from Bunny. Because when you go for blink first like that, which is the standard way of playing PBT, the charge it comes online just a little bit too late. It does feel like a race, and Bunny just hit the perfect timing window. Charge was halfway done. It only finished after the infrastructure had already been taken out there from his Protoss opponent. And so, now Classic, I love the move of blinking into the main base, trying to buy time, but Bunny just with a killer instinct, not batting an eye, not flinching, just sending fully across the map right into the heart of the Protoss beast. He's up game 1 here in this series. One more win, and he's going to be facing Zoun in that winner's match.
I love it. We talked about, this is what Bunny needed to do. I think he did it perfectly. I thought the Stalker blinking was really nice, but I'm glad Bunny basically didn't take the bait. The whole idea is you just try to keep making them run back home and defend, and eventually Protoss is too big. Guys, game 2's loaded up. Let's do this. Okay. We've got Bunny down here in the bottom left, Classic in the top right. Now, I wonder if there was a way to do that better. Maybe he should not have recalled the Stalkers. Maybe he should have blinked back out and tried to come in from behind. I mean, the timing push was clearly very strong. I think basically, well, first of all, I think had he killed the Tech Lab, that would have been massive, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because then you don't have stim, and Marines are just so much worse without stim. It's insane.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a gamble there for Protoss, right? Because you don't know how close it is to completing. You're trying to get as much damage done as possible. They can't stop the Bunster.
The Bunnerino. Yeah, I mean, I just wonder if there was a better way to handle that. Sometimes, and this has kind of always been true, even back into the early days of StarCraft, but like if Terran's doing this like 2-base push to you, what you need to do a lot of times, I mean, obviously, eventually stop the push and don't let it snowball you, but you want to get in between the place they're pushing and where the reinforcements come. If you can get like 6 Stalkers there, you can kill the tanks, the few Marines, maybe even the medevacs, depending on the trajectory of where the starport is and the rally point is. But you can like slow that down, and a lot of times if you can just sandbag a little bit back at home, like, try to slow them down, run back, let the Nexus lose its shields, and then come in from both sides. A lot of times that'll work, is you just basically catch 1 or 2 rounds of reinforcements. Now, it's hard, because one of the strongest things Terran has are these timing pushes, which, by the way, like, a lot of people kind of speculated that this was, like, almost game-breaking. And this was, like, what, the first year of StarCraft people figured this out? It was, like, every game Marine King played, he would, like, pull the SCVs, and it's like, the only reason why this is strong, and it's only strong in StarCraft 2, by the way, it's not strong in StarCraft 1, is because the way the game's decision-making works when a unit's attacked is it attacks the first attacking unit coming towards it. And so that means if you have SCVs in the front, all the SCVs will soak up all the damage, and all the real damage dealers will basically be the last thing to be touched, which means you can snowball a lot of fights. And the only reason why Terran can even do that is because mules exist. So you can keep getting resources in some way while giving up workers.
First adept here for Classic. The natural expansion, trying to glean some scouting information. He does know that it's a 1-gas opening, so it will be this command center. Oh, SCV a little bit injured from the initial probe, so luckily Bunny does have that second SCV here. I think this adept is going to get taken down. Oh, that Reaper.
that was awesome.
Yeah, it's breaking his ankles a little bit. Yeah, nice start here for Bunny. I also love the bunker. Classic in the past has punished Bunny quite a bit, because Bunny usually on maps where there is a potential Reaper wall, and like Classic did here on Takamak, Bunny will be very active with the first Reaper and not have a bunker back at home in the past against Classic. And Classic would chrono boost the second Stalker out and also beeline that first adept straight into the natural expansion. And he played quite a few games against Bunny where he was able to gain momentum by killing the SCV, by delaying. Oh, he's going to get a Hellion. Nice catch. But he's usually getting a lot of momentum in the early game, but you can see that Bunny's adjusted. I believe those games were played at DreamHack Dallas a couple of weeks ago, so it's cool to see these little tiny changes that the players are making.
By the way, this game, very fast third base. Like, it was third base before the first tech line was even opened. So he's going Nexus, and then there's a Robo being warped in with that. And, that's going to be interesting because this is, again, like something you could punish with a timing attack. Although I do feel like if you go for Banshee and Cloak, you've always delayed your timing attack a little bit. The Banshee with the Cloak is, I mean, it can be helpful in pushes, but nowhere near as much as like an extra medevac as an example. Just like pick up a tank if they try to snipe it. But if this kicks in correctly, Classic should have more when this push comes. So overall, I feel like this game maybe looks a little bit better. You never know for sure with builds, right? The science is always a little bit fuzzy with it, but you can kind of look at this and say, all right, maybe this, assuming this is another inevitable timing to push, maybe this one will be a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, it is hard to say. Charge has already started by the time that third barracks is finishing, so I'm expecting Charge to be done by the time this push commences. Although, with the robotics facility, you're getting the observers out here for these Banshees. Also, really nice positioning here from Classic.
I love that. Insta-cloak.
Oh, no shield battery yet in the main base. A little bit greedy was Classic. He's going to lose at least a couple of throws because of that. Oh, and the push already commencing. He's moving out so quickly.
This is like, there's no medevac, right?
I don't think, there's none.
Did he get that? Okay, he gets the Banshee. Sorry, I should have looked, but did he get stim?
I don't believe so. I don't think you can afford stim with a push like this one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so this is like, I was saying that this push was going to have to come later.
Right? He's building the engineering bay.
I mean, we're going to see, but every stim is permanent damage if you don't have anything like that. I'm surprised the bunker hasn't been thrown down here as well. Oh God, it's like more Stalkers than there are Marines here.
Yeah, with his shield battery and also soon-to-be Guardian shield on that sentry as well. I don't think stim is done.
Bunny's committed. A second tank's going to come here. We should have another warping round of Stalkers. He's not in range, which is a problem. He should have started the bunker a while back there. More Marines are coming up.
And this is scary, though, because Charge is nearly done, and we're going to have a flank getting set by Classic Interceptor reinforcements, and he has a lot of time to wait. He does not need to try and break this down right now, although he might go for it. Oh, intercepting another siege tank coming in. 2 tanks already have fallen, and Bunny's like, you know what, I have lost too much firepower. I need to retreat. And you can see on the minimap, Classic immediately on the hunt. He's going to try and slow the retreat for the main army right now. The Stalkers by microing like this. He's trying to slow Bunny's path back home so the Zealots can catch up on the flank. The siege tank going down. Those Marines also in a lot of trouble.
I mean, this is brutal. By the way, it's always kind of nice when I say, like, this, the way you stop this is this, and then they just do it perfectly. Yeah. Very happy with that.
He's listening.
He just got those 6 Stalkers on the other side and intercepted everything like I was talking about. It worked out perfectly. And, it's funny. There was a reason why you don't see that kind of attack basically ever, and it's because it is as flimsy as it looked.
Even getting the siege tank, too, with the Stalkers just barely enough to kill it before the repair can force a third shot. I mean, this is so much damage done already. Behind this, Bunny's only just now starting his 3rd command center. He's got 1 siege tank and 7 Marines. Stim pack about 3/4 of the way done.
I think there's a War Prism just finished, so I think he's going to basically set up to come in here and try to just stampede over the natural.
Yeah, even the engineering bay just can't really be used for anything because he's been so broke. He's only just now starting. +1 infantry weapons despite having that engineering bay done, I want to say like a minute and a half ago. And I almost feel like just a warp-in of Zealots here for Classic and sending it, and you could probably win the game, but he's going to go for the safer option, sending 4 Zealots in the Warp Prism into the main. Oh, Force Field's almost catching all of those Marines. SCB's Bunny recognizes the threat. He has to pull the voice defensively there, but now we have a big Zealot warp-in here in the main base. Marines are coming back to the main, and that's going to allow Classic to roll on through the natural expansion and roll on into a map number 3.
I mean, it's just the similar idea is at play here, which is like we got to figure out some way to end this game before Protoss gets too big. I did not like that attack at all. I feel like maybe that works if you have like 2 bunkers started before you even sieged up your tanks. But there were literally more Stalkers than there were Marines, I think.
I think it just was a little bit too slow.
There's something so funny when Terran has a small amount of units, how absolutely puny the army is. How like when you see a lot of stim Marines, you really got to like steer clear, right? But like when you see just a small amount, you can like just stomp it out so easily, and that's exactly what happened. And I wonder if the idea was that Classic was going to be a little bit too greedy there, but he basically just got the third base, and he basically stopped the fight with Stalkers alone. And again, you know, when there's an attack like that that requires some amount of pushing, some amount of like outposting outside their base where you're building bunkers and sieging up, and maybe a tank is shelling at the distance, you always want to send the Stalkers around to intercept the reinforcements. Just buy time and then go for the sandwich. Hit him from the bottom, hit him from the top, and you know, it's going to be an easy game from there. Anyways, guys, game 3 has loaded up. Let's go. Okay, Bunny in the top left, Classic in the bottom right.
I'm trying to think about what went wrong there for Bunny in game number 2. I feel like when you go for the Cloak Banshees like that, maybe you just don't have an opportunity to go for such a quick push because, as you said, the army is a little bit flimsy there on the ground. I think you need at least an additional siege tank, maybe some more Marines. It's odd because you don't want to be too fast with the push, but you also don't want to be too slow. But sometimes like the middle ground like Bunny went for, it feels like it was worse than if he had waited for a little bit more time to get one more production round, one more siege tank, some more Marines. Or if he had moved faster than maybe the Stalker count, it's going to be more significantly disrupted by having Stalkers in the main base to deflect the Banshee, right? And so that middle ground just not exactly doing it there for Bunny, but I mean, it is much easier said than done. Like we can talk about this as much as we want, but we're not the ones in the booth with everything at stake trying to walk this fine line of how do I kill the Protoss before they become a little bit too big on 3 bases. You know,
there is a world where I think you could have pushed later with the Banshees, but you also, another thing that happened we didn't really point out, or I guess we pointed it out, but we didn't put any emphasis on it, is that Banshee was killed while the harass was happening.
Yeah.
A lot of times the Banshee, just even causing like 2 or 3 Stalkers to follow it is enough. But if I had to bet, I think in this game we're not going to have Cloak Banshees again. I think he needs something a little bit more meaty, so I think more medevacs. Something that gives a little bit more micro potential. Like Banshees are great until they can be seen. And you know, they're basically just, they're not units you fight with. They're units you harass with. So yeah, let's see if we have another kind of 2 base timing attack. But you know, for the Protoss, all you have to do is basically try to get a read on when the attack is going to come out and hold it. And yeah, I mean, and that's all about, okay, like, let's not make too many probes. Let's maybe make, you know, some extra gates here. Let's kind of lock in for when the push comes. And also, let's see how do we, like, kind of cause this to not be a knockout blow, but instead they're going to have to try to get a couple jabs in before they would finish you off, and by then maybe you've got enough that you can get the surround in.
Very precisely timed shield battering the main base there from Classic. Finishing right when the Reaper gets there means that he can send this Adept freely and get scouting information here in the main base. And I think with that Adept, he saw I think almost everything. I believe he should also have been able to see the starport.
So he's getting to medevac, no add-on here. Got the side. So this is actually game 1, only he's hoping the drop actually works.
Yeah, we'll see if the factory lifts off to build another tech lab, or if he's going to go into siege tank production a little bit more quickly with this one. It seems like it might be the latter. No, he's going to lift and go for the tech lab again. So this is probably going to be the same build as game number 1 with a 3rd barracks without an add-on. The siege tank production is a little bit slower, but what you get as a result of that is significantly more Marines with a push. So the firepower is definitely going to be there for Bunny. I like this kind of adjustment to the siege tank push where the tanks are just a tempo behind, but you have way more Marines.
Okay. He's going to come in, and I actually... No, never mind. I was wrong. He can't... Oh, what? How did he do that?
Bunny's the master of the medevac.
That was wild.
Nobody's been microing.
That looked so impossible.
Yeah, nobody has microed boosted medevacs more than Bunny. This is the guy that back when he was really dominating in TVP, he would just relentlessly full send medevacs into your main base. Because usually, you would see a Terran player that would scan at like a macro TVP. They scan the main base and they see if there's army there, and they decide, do I send the medevacs or not?
Yeah.
Bunny scans and he sees an army there and he still sends all the medevacs. It doesn't matter. He does
way
not
that he
flinch.
did that. By the way, you either look like a genius doing that or you look like an idiot, because you can just lose the medevac. But he basically knew exactly in between the stalker shots and the time he had for the medevac boost, he could come in and save everything, which is crazy. By the way, big gateway explosion here.
Before third base.
This is just like a 2-base powering Protoss.
Yeah, Classic is racing for impact.
By the way, you can't just 2-base into a 2-base Protoss. So I almost feel like Bunny is treating this like there is a third base, and he's not scouted it, I don't believe, unless I missed something on the map. I don't believe he's had anything that could see that. And, this is kind of a funny just way to hard counter 2-base timing pushes.
Oh, we do have an observer.
Oh, what's up?
Oh, he's getting the tech lab this time.
He learned from game 1.
Oh, but the surface area is a little bit better there for the SCVs. And these Stalkers, they might be stuck. Those Marines can work their way here on the bottom line. A lot of damage already being done, hull damage. If those Marines were sitting in the mineral line, this could be a disaster here for Classic. Instead, he's going to be able to escape with at least some of those Stalkers. They are battered and bruised. But behind all of this, he bought time. Yes, it wasn't a very favorable exchange there in the main base of Bunny. And look at this. We actually have a third command center coming down from the Terran. I think this is a very smart move. I feel like if this was a fully dedicated push with no follow-up. Wait, did he? He canceled the command center. It was a bait.
It was a fake.
Oh.
He's a liar.
This is tricky though, man. Storm is more than halfway done. Charge is complete. The army of Classic, because he powered on 2 bases before going into that third, this is a very scary Protoss army. 8 seconds to Storm Tasteless. I don't know if Bunny's gonna be able to break through this. That is a formidable Protoss force. We have, what, 3, 4 Storms available? Ooh. First one's gonna pop right on the SCVs.
Yeah.
Ton of damage being done.
Oh.
So many SCVs and Marines falling. The first stim, there's no combat shields. They have very low HP, even more Storms already. I think we have 1 or 2 more left. Classic just gonna disengage. Bunny, he's already lost the meat shield.
Dude,
basically
I think
every SCV's gone.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even get a foothold out here. He just basically sent all his SCVs to get killed and never set up shop outside the guy's base. He's gonna go for a drop.
No. Just a little bit too slow.
Oh God.
That's just gonna be it, I think, Tasteless.
I think we just see Bunny tap out.
I mean, this is match point, so he might play it a little bit longer. But
like one adept up here for some reason. Finally, an adept versus a tank. Who wins this?
Oh.
All right, well, I mean, Bunny, I guess he's going to stay in here for a little bit longer, but I think the counterattack could just be overwhelming.
I think
he basically needs to wait for another Zealot charge. Good to go, and then just push it. He's got Sidestorm, Guardian Shields up. There's 1 tank, soon to be no tanks. This is going to be GG.
Wow. Classic with a 2-base power move, able to deflect that push. This is why when I saw the command center get thrown down for Bunny, I'm like, oh, this is smart. That push is not going to work. And then he cancels it, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, Classic is going to go on to the winner's match, playing extremely well. I like that first game for Bunny. One of the problems is if you have to rely on a timing push, and that's maybe the way you're looking at the only way that you can win that matchup, it's a little bit easier for the other guy, right? It's like when you play somebody who cheeses all the time or alls in all the time, you're like, okay, I'm just like gonna be really careful. And you know it's coming. When's it gonna come? Here it is. Boom, I've stopped it. Hero and Bunny, by the way, will be facing off in the losers match here today. Hero, the previous season GSL champion, could be knocked out. It's gonna be tough. Zoun versus Classic is coming up next. We're gonna have a little break, guys, and then we'll go to that best of 3. We'll be right back.